We know our head coach is in it to win it and ain't going anywhere, but the assistant coaching carousel could get a little bit interesting in Eugene due to a head coaching firing at a program just down the West Coast. Plus, I'm handing out some hardware. My Week 13 Holy Wallowa Awards. Ladies and gentlemen, we finally made it. It's TSO Dubs Down Week, and it starts right now.
This place has everything. In fact, the grass is damn green in Eugene.
That performance deserves a Holy Wallowa.
It's a feeling you cannot explain.
This place is louder than any other venue in the Big Ten.
This program is staged to compete and to win championships.
Welcome to the Big Ten, Oregon.
And welcome to that show out west for that team out west. I'm Ted LaRue. Happy Monday night. Happy Victory Monday. Happy 10-1 Monday, and happy Thanksgiving Monday to each and every one of you out there. What am I thankful for? I am thankful for your viewership. I am thankful for your listenership. I am thankful for the flock. This has been so fun. So much damn fun this season, flying within this subsection of the flock that we got going on here at TSOW. Thank you for caring what I have to say about Oregon Ducks football, whether it's, you're a listener on podcasts, whether you're a viewer on YouTube, or whether you're a reader over at Scoop Duck. It has been awesome this year, and we are far from done, man. Here's kind of the scoop. This week, we're going to have two mini shows, of course, one right here, right now, and then one likely on Wednesday night. We host Thanksgiving at our place each and every single year, and very busy as well the day after on Black Friday, so got to get this thing done before Thursday. Going to be having that preview episode and prediction episode for the Washington game before the Thanksgiving holiday. So, when you're eating your turkey, when you're having your stuffing, when you're eating your pumpkin pie, you can show your uncle from Pendleton, you can show your aunt from Roseburg, hey, this is what Ted thinks and how much he thinks that Oregon is going to win by up in Seattle. So stay tuned. Stay tuned for that. Very emotional Saturday for me. We knew this was a big game. Certainly going in back and forth kind of early in that contest before the Ducks got that 2-possession lead. I was off the couch. I was fist pumping. I was yelling. I was screaming. Look, I'm an emotional guy. Football is an emotional sport. And, after a game like that, I kind of need to just disconnect a little bit. I need to clear my thoughts on Sunday. And that's exactly what I did. I do that a lot on Sunday. I just kind of went out for a hike with my wife. And when I was going out and enjoying nature around here, it kind of allowed me to kind of focus in on a few thoughts. And here was kind of my main thought. I'm ready to get hurt again. We all know what happened last year. We all know what has happened over the course of these years throughout Oregon football. But I'm ready. I think I'm very optimistic surrounding this Oregon football team as the playoffs are approaching. I think they're in as good and in as favorable a spot as any team maybe right now in college football. Beginning of the year, what I tell you, you won the Big Ten last year. That was great. Don't need that again. Considering the new playoff format, don't need to be a top 4 team. Don't need that long layoff. Don't need that bye. I think the worst position somebody can be in right now in college football is going to the conference championship game, losing the conference championship game, and then you got to play that game just a couple of weeks later in the first round of the playoffs. So here's what I want to say. Ohio State, just win. I don't cheer for you. I don't like Ohio State, and I think that's putting it mildly. Just beat Michigan. Indiana, just beat Purdue. Do what you do against some of these teams out there. Let's get ourselves an Ohio State, Indiana. Let's hold chalk. Let's get into that situation right now. There was a post from a subscriber over there on Scoop Duck, on the Scoop Duck forums that say, hey, here's the situation that I want to see. Okay, what do we need to have to get here or to get there as far as postseason positioning? I'm like, whatever it takes to get the number 6 seed. Whatever it takes, man. That's where I want to be, likely facing the ACC champion at Autzen Stadium in Eugene in the first round of the playoffs. And then what happens from there? Maybe avoiding the top 2 seeds in the tournament. I mean, if you're the number 5 seed, you would play the number 1 a little bit sooner. Maybe we can hold off on that juggernaut that is Ohio State, maybe until a potential national championship game right now. But kind of getting back to my point, I mean, this Oregon team, through some injuries, has showcased the depth. They've showcased next man up. They showcased how talented they are once you get to the 2s, once you get to the 3s, and maybe even sometimes in some of these positions like the offensive line this last weekend, sometimes the 4s. But I was kind of thinking, man, when these guys get healthy, when Decorian Moore gets back, when this offensive line is fully healthy after guys kind of getting banged up before the game on Saturday, and in Pancho's case, during the game on Saturday, maybe you get Evan Stewart back. You get back to full strength. This is a team that I think is as deep as anybody in the country and is maybe as confident as anybody in the country right now. If they can kind of slide in to that 6th spot, that would be great. I would certainly love that. So I'm confident right now. Maybe I'll get hurt yet again, but considering the way that the trajectory of this season is going, this is a team that's in the right spot at the right time. What did I say when it was all nice and sunny and warm outside this spring and summer? Be playing your best at the end of November. And I think Oregon is pretty damn close to playing their best football of the season right now. Okay, let's dive into our first topic of conversation here today. And it's a little bit of a coaching chatter. Like I said at the top, look, Dan Lanning is as bought in as any head coach in America right now. But this assistant coaching carousel could be a little bit interesting considering the Ducks looking to make a deep playoff run. And maybe Will Stein and Tosh Lupoi could be up for some of these head coaching jobs. And if you take a head coaching job, you got to do it soon to solidify that class in December. So post-Thanksgiving weekend, I think, could get a little bit interesting. I want to talk about a guy that, of course, Oregon fans know. I mean, he's a legend in Eugene, Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly recently got fired as the offensive coordinator of the Las Vegas Raiders. He's 61 years old, and I think the way things have gone lately for Chip, when he was the head coach at UCLA towards the end of his run, he was over everything college football as far as being a head coach and the responsibilities that go along with that, the financial side of football that's now in place. And he's very much just lock me in a dark room, let me scheme, let me game plan. That's what Ryan Day in Ohio State allowed him to do, and it won him a national championship. And it kind of got some people talking. If Will Stein does take a head coaching job wherever, is Chip Kelly an option to be the next offensive coordinator for the Oregon Ducks? My answer is no. I do not believe it. I mean, look, anything can happen in college football. And Chip is as good of a play caller as there is. We learned that firsthand January 1st, 2025, where he set Oregon up so many times and, well, you know what happened in that particular matchup. I don't need to rehash that, but I think, Chip, we said, does not like recruiting. And that's, I think, putting it mildly. I don't think he really fits into the type of assistant coach that Dan Lanning usually hires. I mean, young, hungry, up and coming. Those are 3 adjectives that you usually use to describe some of these hires as of late on Dan's staff. Like, you look at Ross Douglas. He was hired at age 30 after 1 season as a college position coach, and he's doing great things with the wide receivers certainly this season. Rashad Samples is another example. He was hired when he was 28 years old after 4 seasons of being a position coach. I mean, Chris Hampton, he was a little bit older, had a little bit more experience, hired at age 36 after 10 years as a DB coach. But I think when Dan goes out and he hires some of these assistants, he looks for himself in a lot of these guys. If you've kind of watched some of these long form interviews with Dan and kind of, his struggle kind of coming up in coaching where he wasn't making a lot of money, he was putting a lot out on the line with him and his family, but he kind of stuck with it. And of course, his hard work certainly paid off. But it's that young, hungry, when there was something that needed to be done when Dan was a GA. He did it. He really specialized in recruiting, and he loves those guys that are as hungry as he was back in the day and love chopping it up on the trail. Relentless recruiters, Chip Kelly is not a relentless recruiter. Like, if you could just have him show up on game day, know the game plan, know the scheme, and put that together and just say, hey, go out and call us a great game, yeah, maybe you'll do that. But I'm not sure if maybe that's the guy. You know, you really want those relentless recruiters at the position coaches. Certainly, maybe you can get away with it a little bit at the coordinator spots, but it just does not seem like a fit. But I want to say something about Chip, all things considered. I don't know where Chip is going to go from here. It's going to be really interesting to see exactly where he ends up. But, like, he is going to have a hero's welcome. There's going to be a day sometime down the road, if we know anything about Dan, you know, he's got Kenyon Barner and Jay Stu hanging out on the sidelines. He brings Nick Aliotti back for the spring game. He has bought into the history that is Oregon football. There's going to be a day where Chip Kelly is going to be honored, and there's going to be a standing ovation, whether it's at a first quarter break or halftime of a big game. Maybe it's at a spring game or something like that. There's going to be a day. And I think we're all going to kind of pour out our appreciation for what Chip did for the development of this program to really rise it up, really take it, you know. Mike Bellotti kind of laid that foundation when Chip was the OC, and then, of course, when Chip took over as head coach, he kind of launched it to another level. But it just doesn't make a lot of sense for Chip to be on the staff in the future if changes are made, or if Will Stein goes and takes another job. But we'll see. But I'm looking forward to the day where we can all salute what Chip has done for this program. That's what I'll say about that. Now, I think the thing that's really interesting, Justin Wilcox fired as head coach of the California Golden Bears. Whether it's been ESPN, whether it's been On 3, no matter who it's been, everybody's got one guy at the top of their board. And it's the Cal Golden Bear alum, Oregon's defensive coordinator, Tosh Lupoi. So I'm not going to really touch on much of like, hey, do I think he's going to take the job or do I think he's going to stay? He's going to have a decision to make, right? Does he want to stay on this Oregon staff to push for a national championship, knowing that this might be one of his, no pun intended, golden opportunity to kind of become a head coach and see where that opportunity takes him? Because I'm not sure what the market is right now for a guy like Tosh Lupoi at this moment in time. So, but I will say this. If Tosh does indeed move on, you got to backfill this role. It's a very easy, whether it's, during the playoffs or beyond, looking forward towards next season, it's very easy to identify who that guy is going to be. And it's Chris Hampton. He is the answer. Now, Dan's going to go out there. He's going to interview guys. He's going to talk to guys. He's going to build that Rolodex, so to speak. But, I mean, what Chris Hampton has done recruiting defensive backs, and he's a former defensive coordinator at Tulane in 2021 and 2022. Like, they took huge jumps, the Green Wave did, during those seasons. So he's proved that he can be a really good defensive play caller, although it be at a lower level. You do that, you promote Rashad Wadoud to the main defensive backs coach. Like, this is not complicated, I think, and that's the recruiting's going to be able to stay, I think, at an elite level if this move and if this situation certainly does come about right now for Oregon. And I know there's segments of the fan base out there be like, oh, Tosh leaves, fist pump. We're golden. Right there. I think Tosh has done a good job with this defense this season. Sure, there's maybe there's of course some things that needed to be improved upon, and there's some things that kind of rear the year after year. That kind of be like, oh, that's kind of the same issue. That's kind of the same issue. That's kind of the same issue. So maybe a change of defensive coordinator would fix it. Maybe it wouldn't, but defensively, I think what they're doing, Chris Hampton is the man for the job. Also, like, you look to the offensive side, if Will Stein moves along, I think Rashad Samples is sitting in a great position to be the offensive coordinator, to be the play caller as well. He's got experience, of course, as a running backs coach here at Oregon. He's got experience as a wide receivers coach, so he can coach both positions. He was heavily involved in the recruitment of one Decorian Moore to kind of come out here to the West Coast. So, it's great to just be able to look within your staff and say, man, Yeah, he's got next. Yeah, he's got next. So that's, I think, the main thing that I've got circled over the next week. What do we hear as far as Tosh Lupoi going to Cal? Cal's in a situation where they don't have a lot of money to spend. NIL does not look great. I'll say that. Could Tosh get a better job? Yeah, he could hold out for a better job, but I feel like Tosh's name is maybe at the top of where it's been. And you don't know where things are going to go when you get to the next year and the next year and the next year. The example I always use of that at the head coach level is Matt Campbell. Right? He had a handful of years ago. He was great. Could have left for a big-time job. He stayed at Iowa State, and now it's kind of been a little bit hit or miss in his years following. Okay, let's dive into this USC game with our Holy Wallowa Awards. Let's begin with our honorable mentions. Now, I talked about injuries earlier on during the program on the offensive line. There was a point in time where there were 3 injured Ducks. They were down to, at the very least, their second-team players on the offensive line. And I want to start this off by shouting out 2 of these guys. Fox Crater over at left tackle, and then Charlie freaking Pickard, the Portland, Oregon native, playing in senior day. All right, this is his last year of eligibility, and he's going to remember this one for a very long time. The depth of this program was flexed on the O-line. Neither one of these guys allowed any pressures whatsoever from USC. Crater had the highest pass block grade of anybody according to PFF at 85.4, kept Dante clean the entire game. There was nothing coming off that side. I think for both of these guys, they're not going like maybe some of the starters. They're not driving guys 2, 3, 4, 5 yards down the field. They're holding their own in there. They're doing enough to spring a big run up the middle. They're doing enough to allow Dante time back there to throw, to be able to get it to where he needs to get it to. Charlie Pickard, I posted a few clips on Twitter. And, there were a couple of plays where after he snaps it, he's pulling. I think one went to the left. I think one went to the right. And he has to engage with the defensive end. And he makes contact. He holds his own, and he allows Noah Whittington to be able to scoot through the hole for more yardage. Considering where Charlie Pickard was last season. Remember those first couple of games? When Charlie Pickard went out of the lineup and Pancho moved to center, all of a sudden this Oregon offensive line turned into a Joe Moore Award finalist offensive line. Okay, it was not good for old Charlie last year. This is a prime example of Duck development. Okay, throughout this last year, he has gotten so much better based on what we saw Saturday versus what we saw early during the 2024 season. Man, I loved it. I was down in my basement doing the rewatch on Sunday, and I just started yelling, Charlie Pickard, there he is again. I'm just yelling at the top of my lungs because he just kept showing up and making key blocks and making key blocks. He was solid and dependable at the center position after the Iapane Lalaolu injury. Let's head to a couple of pass catchers now. Malik Benson, of course, is someone we got to talk about. 4 catches, 67 yards, and of course he had that special teams touchdown, an 85 punt return for a touchdown. When he gets into the open field, he is fast. He is really fast. He is really explosive. There was a slant route early on. It might have been the first drive of the game where he had a nice catch and run where he's able to separate, and then once he catches the ball, he's able to separate even more with his speed, and that punt return for a touchdown. Game's tied at 14. It's kind of going back and forth a little bit. He's like, oh yeah, I'm going to grab you an extra possession and an extra scoring possession without the offense even getting onto the field. So that was I think a big swing in the game. At that moment, USC did not score the rest of the way, and that kind of allowed Oregon to kind of get a little bit of a boost. Of course, they added another touchdown late, and that really helped. That was a huge momentum shift, I think, at that point in the game where maybe scores were being traded a little bit early on. So Malik is kind of one of those guys. He's like, in 2 different kinds of ways, he's taken advantage of an injury. Remember early in the spring, I should say, Evan Stewart, DeCorian Moore, those are your top 2 receivers, and then maybe you're having a Gary Bryant Jr. or somebody working out of the slot. Malik Benson was in the conversation, but I don't know if he was necessarily like a leader in the clubhouse to be, the X or the Z coming into this season. So you had that with Stewart, and now when Decorian Moore goes down, he's the top target. He took advantage of both of those opportunities. Now, is he a superstar guy? Is he going to go out, catch 8 balls for 165 and 2 scores? I don't know if he's that guy. We'll talk about one guy that I think is the primary target within this passing game in just a moment, but he's a great supplement. He's a great guy that can win a one-on-one battle with his speed, and he can create an explosive down the field. Really excited to see what more explosive he can create as the season goes along. Speaking of explosive, a guy that's he's got some pop now. It's Jeremiah McClellan. I think when Decorian Moore went down, I'm like, okay, this is J-Mac's moment. This is his opportunity to step up. And he hasn't really maybe gotten as many catches as I anticipated, but when he caught the ball in this game against USC, he made the most of it. 3 catches for 53 yards. There was a play, I want to say early on in the matchup, where USC was playing off coverage. I think they just flip it out to him on a screen or a short passing concept. He catches the ball and he gets the burst, hits him with the stiff arm, and I think he moves forward for a first down. So I really love what I saw in this game from Jeremiah McClellan. So I really hope they get him involved a little bit more. But, with maybe some of these other wide receivers coming back, we'll see what his role is. But you can see the explosiveness. He was a guy that was maybe mentioned, could he be the wide receiver outside of Decorian Moore or Evan Stewart when he was still healthy? Could he be the other guy that stepped up, a former 4-star top 100 recruit that they flipped from Ohio State on signing day? And maybe it's been a little bit slow to kind of get along this year, but I saw some flashes. We've seen some flashes earlier this season. Certainly saw some more flashes on Saturday against USC. Now, before I flip to the defensive side of the ball, I kind of want to just shout out Brandon Finney a little bit. I want to talk about Brandon because did he commit some penalties? Yeah. Did he get beat? Yeah. I mean, covering Jacoby Lane, a healthy Jacoby Lane, is not an easy task at 6'4" and one of USC's top receiver. But here's the thing I will say about Brandon. It's not like he's getting beat, where he's 2 yards behind the play or 3 yards behind the play. He's right there. He's right there in the hip pocket. He's right where he needs to be. It's just sometimes, when you throw that 50-50 ball, you kind of get your hand caught and you get caught pulling on a jersey. When you throw some of those balls, maybe he just doesn't turn around in time. But the good thing with Brandon, you can fix those mechanical things. You can fix those technical things. As long as he's right there in coverage, he's going to be fine. So I just wanted to kind of mention that before I start talking about the defensive backs. He made a nice play, 3rd and goal, late in the first half. Boom. Made that play in one-on-one coverage against Jacoby Lane when he tried to post him up near the goal line. So that's what I've found out about Brandon. He responds well. If he gives up a penalty, he gives up a play, he can kind of keep his head with him and certainly make a positive play coming off of that. Okay. Let's talk about Jaden Kennedy. Oh, reliable, man. He has been rock freaking solid this whole year. 6 tackles, a PBU, and a big interception this season. He was the guy, talked about it in my preview. He was the guy in the middle of the field, in the slot. Okay, you're going to be matched up on Mekhi Lemon. You can't allow Mekhi Lemon to really get free and really create big plays. And guess what? Mekhi Lemon did not create big plays. 7 catches, 34 yards. Now, he did have the 2 touchdowns in a goal line situation. Kennedy did get beat by Lemon to get into the end zone, but overall, he matched up against USC's best receiver tremendously. The longest play for Lemon was 9 yards. If you're telling me Jaden Kennedy is going to limit Lemon to no plays of double digits, I say, yeah, no doubt he's going to be a Holy Wallowa mention this week. Then the interception where he kind of cuts off the route of Mekhi Lemon to gain an extra possession. Willing and talented tackler as well, coming near the line of scrimmage. I know I've mentioned it before where it's he's kind of been a surprise of where Oregon fans maybe had him pegged at the beginning of the year, but man, I love what he's been able to do and what he's been able to develop into this season. He's been one of, the star position for the Ducks. It hasn't been, you haven't had a guy that you're like, oh man, I really love what we have at that position. But I think this year it's different in a lot of ways, and I think it's different in that respect of that position as well. Dylan Thieneman, 8 tackles, 2 solo tackles. Man, he anticipates and reads plays extremely well. He takes really good angles at the football. I remember a 2nd and 10 early in the second quarter, and he's very well prepared. He's very well studied. In the spring and the summer, we're talking about, hey, he's the first one in the building. He's there at 5 a.m. And you kind of saw a little bit of that here in this USC game. In that same instance that I was just talking about here, he's kind of creeping a little bit, creeping towards up to the line of scrimmage, creeping up towards the line of scrimmage. And then he recognizes the screen, takes Lemon down behind the line of scrimmage for a tackle for loss. That's what film study gets you. That's what preparation gets you. That's what the extra time gets you. There was a goal-to-go situation where him and Kennedy teamed up on the play where he's kind of creeping to that side and creeping to that side. You can tell he knows what's going on in different situations. That's exactly what you want from this guy. Let's talk about the run defense because, when USC has the day that they did against the run, you're gonna highlight a couple of defensive linemen. Let's talk about a guy, Mateo Uyunglele. He played with as much juice and as much energy, I think, as we've seen certainly in recent weeks. Just was a little bit different as far as that respect. Hey, maybe a St. John Bosco kid playing against USC. Maybe that has something to do with it. But he was the highest graded defender according to Pro Football Focus. He hasn't put up the production necessarily, but that doesn't mean he hasn't been impactful. He has been impactful. He can, without creating a tackle, without creating a sack or a TFL or getting on the stat sheet, he can kind of impact a play. I remember he did this against Minnesota, and then he did this as well against USC, where he sees a screen coming, he juts out, he gets into the passing lane, and he adjusts of where the quarterback is going to throw the ball. So he's been really smart as far as that to kind of get his body into those situations to alter a play, right? That play is not going to show up in a stat sheet, okay? You got to watch the film back. You got to watch the game back to be able to see that type of play. And Mateo Uyunglele is making those type of plays. 7 sacks, 2 TFLs. He had that sack where he had the sack, the forced fumble, and then almost a fumble recovery all in one play. So it was good to see Mateo have this type of performance. All right. Bear Alec freaking Xander. 4 tackles. He had a batted ball early on in this game. There's a reason why USC rushed for 52 yards and 1.9 yards per carry. Because Bear was a block shedding machine during this game. Engage, rip. Engage, swim. Engage, whatever. Bear Alexander was doing that and was making life extremely difficult for USC on the offensive line. And if his Twitter activity throughout the last 24 or so is any indication, this was a performance he was looking forward to for a very long time. He was the highest graded run defender in the game for Oregon. It's consistent performances with him. I think that was one thing that we were maybe unsure of with Bear coming into the year. Okay, how consistent is he going to be? Because on the USC tape, okay, we saw some good things, but we also maybe saw some not so good things. But he has just been, ever since that Penn State game, consistent performer, and he's wreaking havoc. You combine him and Amari, extremely tough to run the football against the Oregon Ducks right now. Let's get into our Holy Wallowa winners of the week, and I'm feeling good. This win over USC has got me feeling optimistic, so I've got 4 Holy Wallowa winners for the week, and we are starting with QB1, old number 5, Dante Moore. 22 of 30, 257 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. There were moments in this game where he's just ripping balls. He's ripping it to the sideline. I mean, the touchdown to Kenyon Sadiq between those 2 safeties, he's just ripping it NFL style in there. I think, and I mentioned this during my Saturday reaction, they were very confident considering Kamari Ramsey and Bishop Fitzgerald, the safeties for USC, considering they were out of this game, they were confident in Dante's ability to rip the ball at that level of the defense. And Dante had confidence. And when he's protected the way he is, he's going to have a good day. And that's exactly what happened, I think, throughout this thing. I mean, there was a throw to Jeremiah McClellan He's just kind of, it's the little things. It's waiting the split second. Could he have thrown it earlier? Yeah. But let me just wait the split second. Let me layer the ball over the safety. So instead of maybe throwing it earlier where you can catch and you can make a tackle, I can get 5 to 6 extra yards by layering it more towards the sidelines. And that's exactly what happened. He was really hitting strikes off of play action. And I talked about it in my preview and on Twitter as well. So Dante being Dante, he's stacking really good performances, and that's what we love to see at this time of year. Kenyon Sadiq, 6 catches, 72 yards, and not 1 but 2 touchdowns. This is these last 2 games. This is the Kenyon Sadiq that I think we all expected towards the beginning of the year. Lingering injuries, but this guy's hitting his stride at the right time. When we talk about playing your best football in the month of November, we're looking at old 18 on the offensive side of the football. He's clearly the best pass-catching option they have right now. And I know DeCorian Moore is out. I know they have some injuries. But he is a guy, what do you do if you're a defense? How do you cover him? What do you do? They get him involved in so many different ways. Going right down the middle of the defense, going right down the seam. And Will Stein does a great job matching him up with the linebacker, matching him up with the safety. That first Kenyon Sadiq touchdown, it was just like, you ever play NBA 2K and you hit it and your keypad, ISO. It's classic. You remember MJ, he get the ball. Everybody get out of the way. It's one-on-one. I'm taking over. That's what that first touchdown was. It was man coverage across the board. It was play action on a safety in Christian Pierce, which is not even a starting safety normally for USC. It's just put your foot in the ground, run your slant route, and just beat him to the opposite corner. And that's exactly what happened. Play action, linebackers come up. It's one-on-one on the safety. Kenyon Sadiq is winning that battle 11 times out of 10. Okay? That's just it's a cheat code. It is a cheat code right now with Kenyon Sadiq. So I know there's going to be some guys coming back from injury, but man, I hope that they keep targeting 18 as much as this right now. Noah Whittington running the football, 19 carries, 104 yards, and a touchdown. Also 4 catches for 22 yards. Let's talk about the passing game. Well, the receiving game, I guess I should probably say. They lined him out wide a lot. Now, a lot of times when he was out there, they lined him out wide in a bunch formation where they just tried to rip it to him on a screen, get those perimeter blockers in front. There were some commenters on Twitter. I posted the clip. They got 4 guys out there, out wide towards the boundary, and Noah is one of them. And USC lines up with 2 guys out there. I'm like, we'll take that matchup every day. I know there's some people out there that don't love the screen pass, but you take that matchup, just like I said before with Kenyon, you take that matchup 11 times out of 10, man. You take it every single day of the week. So I like that extension of the run game. I like them getting involved and doing something a little bit different when they're not full strength at wide receiver. I think they're kind of doing these things. We've seen De'Aaron Hill split out wide a little bit, and I'm not sure if Noah has been in that situation that much this year, but I really noticed it in the rewatch on Sunday. Just a really hard runner. He's a guy, like I talked about Sadiq, coming back from injury. He looks like a new player. Same thing for Noah, kind of coming off that injury this second half of the season. He's just, he's motivated. He's hungry. He's extremely hard to be able to bring down right now. Last one I want to talk about. And we are saving maybe the best for last. And it's Bryce Betcher. Senior day, kid that went to South Eugene High School, double walk-on, we all know the story. We know Oregon most likely is going to get a home playoff game, but this in his last scheduled game at Autzen Stadium, he's going to remember this one for a very long time. 13 tackles, 4 solo tackles, a TFL, and that rushing touchdown. Let's talk first defensively. It's a rivalry game. It's a West Coast rivalry game, so naturally, Bryce Betcher is going to play some good ball. Remember last year against Washington, the games against Oregon State, he always puts out and shows out in these games against these West Coast rivals. He was around the football. He was a magnet to the football. He's a great run defender. There were some instances in pass coverage where it's like, that's not great. But I think we know what we're going to get at this point with 28 and black. But that rushing touchdown, he's going to remember that one for a very long time. a very long time. You know, there's a lot of motivation. There's a lot of connection within this football team. But when you see a guy like Bryce that's been going to games at Autzen Stadium for as long as he has, and that's just bleeds green and yellow as much as he does, you want to do it for that guy. You want to put forth a little bit extra for Bryce to accomplish what he once accomplished in his last season as an Oregon Duck. So, Bryce Betcher, Noah Whittington, Kenyon Sadiq, Dante Moore, you all deserve your senior day last home game at Autzen Stadium. Holy Wallowas. All right, that'll kind of put a bow on this mini edition, and we're plus 35 minutes. So that's what happens when you put me in front of a microphone. Maybe the mini show turned out to be almost a normal length show when all was said and done. Going to have a preview and prediction of the game against the Washington Huskies coming up by Wednesday night. Until then, I'm Ted LaRue. We'll see you in the next edition of That Show Out West.